this year that marks Pakistan's current constitution 50th anniversary. Now, some believe at this moment, in order to understand this economic crisis and political crossroads, it's also important to examine the constitution of the country. Some believe the first step to breaking through this chaos and also this mess should be to face up to the need for fundamental reform to the 1973 Constitution. Well, at this moment, we need to ask the question, what is the purpose of the Constitution today? And also, why does the constitutional rights still matter, especially to the political figures and also to the average citizens? And if you follow the news closely, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, also hit the news lately regarding his recent arrest. Of course, his followers strongly claim that this Supreme Court should bring justice to Imran Khan unless there will be more official charges or official evidence to prove his corruption. But meanwhile, people are hoping that this person can come out clean because they have better hopes, or should I say, better ambitions for Imran Khan to return to the country. Is he going to bring his political career back to the reign? Well, in this episode, we're going to talk about all of that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you follow our show, you should be familiar with our distinguished speaker, Dr. Shoaib Kahut. Again, Dr. Kahut is an international scholar, mainly focused on international relations and economy, and mainly he published numerous articles and journals around the world. It's our great honor to bring him back. Let's talk about this Pakistan, and also let's talk about the future of the country. Well, Dr. Kahut, and welcome back to The Missing Piece.
My pleasure, Mr. Will. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Kahut, again, as we mentioned before we talk about Imran Khan, again, I believe this is the fourth and even the fifth time, we have this conversation regarding Imran Khan. But again, as we mentioned before, I want to talk about Pakistan's constitution. Some call it today, the constitution is having what we call a midlife crisis. And some believe it's time that we need to, again, in Pakistan, to reform the constitution. And also, we need to bring more physicality or a practical constitutional rights to this reform. So help us to understand what is the purpose of the constitution in Pakistan today, and whether you think it's time for us to face another reform to this founding documents.
Well, Constitution of Pakistan, 1973, as you all know, just to reinforce the knowledge of your audience, Pakistan came into being in 1947, and the first constitution, which is far more impactful, and which was formulated by the joint consensus of all the political parties then, so it just happened, or it was made possible in 1973. So it means that Pakistan took almost 26 years in coming up with its first ever jointly, consensus constitution. Well, it's not the first one. The first one was in 1958. The other one was in 1962. But both of them, they were not very much came up with the consensus, because Pakistan, unfortunately, was under the dark clouds of dictatorship, back then. So in 1973, the Parliament of Pakistan, so the Parliament of Pakistan is bicameral, which means that we have the two houses, the upper house, which is called Senate, and the lower house, which is called the National Assembly. So this constitution was implemented, or it was, just made possible by the joint consensus of then political parties. And this constitution is, today as we speak, the 2023, now we are in the 50th years. We just celebrated the National Parliament of Pakistan and just celebrated the 50th year of the Constitution. And this year has been termed as the year of the Constitution. Now, this Constitution is very important for the countries like Pakistan, because Pakistan is actually the confederation of 4 distinct provinces, which are Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Sindh, Balochistan, and also if you include the Gilgit-Baltistan and the Kashmir part. So you can say that this constitution is something which is making sure that all the 5 or 6 entities, they stayed together. So this constitution, it promises the right to education, right to safety, right to security, basic human rights, everything. So they have been written in this constitution, and ever since 1973, there are now more than 23 amendments in this constitution. So yeah, it is very. I think as we speak, this is a very historical moment, and unfortunately, after 1973, at 2 different times, so one in 1977 and other in 1999, the two the democratic governments were rolled up by the military dictators, and at both the instances, this constitution was abrogated. And this constitution, so virtually this constitution remained null and void for 11 years, from 1977 to 1988, and then also in 1999, when then military dictator General Pervez Musharraf, he overthrew the democratic government of then the Prime Minister Muhammad Nawaz Sharif. So at that time also this constitution was abrogated. So yeah, Pakistan has its own love and hate story with its own constitution. But the good thing is, if we see the silver lining as we speak, that constitution is still in force in Pakistan, and it just celebrated its 50th year of its formulation.
Again, Dr. Kahut, when we talk about the celebration for the 50th anniversary of the Constitution, of course, not only this Constitution signifies the milestone for the country, politically speaking, and also economically speaking as well, but meanwhile, I want to read something to you as well. I want to get your reaction. And so, again, some people believe Pakistan's current situation that related to Parliament's failure to ever constitutionally clarify the role of the military in either the economy or politics to avoid provoking more intervention. So, based on our last conversation, we know that within the country of Pakistan, Constitution has this direct relationship, or should we say, this direct impact of the military power. Now, again, Dr. Kahut, help us understand within the Constitution, how should we understand the role of the military power and also the military presence? And also that could link up to, again, what we're going to discuss going back to this upcoming election. And we know that military power took a significant claim, or should we say, played a significant role in managing and changing the political atmosphere in Pakistan today. So let's go back to the fundamental question. What is the relationship between the Constitution and the military? And how much power does the Constitution grant to the military, and so to speak?
Yeah, specifically in the context of Pakistan. So the founder of this constitution, his name was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and he was the prime minister at that time. And he came into power in 1970s by virtue of the elections, by the public majority vote. But unfortunately, as the second martial law in Pakistan, it came in 1977. And, it was the coup against then democratic setup. And unfortunately, the founder of this constitution was hanged in 1979. So, you can guess from it that the military in Pakistan, they managed to hang the founder of this constitution. So unfortunately, this constitution has been, as I told you earlier in the first part, that it has been abrogated 2 times after its formulation. So by constitution, there is no provision of giving the rule or right to rule to the military generals. The Constitution of Pakistan in 1973 clearly states that the Pakistan's system of governance will be the parliamentary democracy. The parliamentary democracy, in Pakistan, it has 2 houses, Senate of Pakistan. In Senate of Pakistan, all the 4 entities have equal representation, whether they are population more or less area, no, equal proportion in Senate of Pakistan. And then we have the National Assembly. In National Assembly, we have the seats in proportion to the population. So, it's a very, the system is very ideal, and the system is mainly influenced by the democratic system, which has been in place in world's oldest democracy in the United Kingdom. But, in this constitution, as I told you earlier, there is no provision of military rule. This constitution provides basic right to live, basic right to safety, security, health, education to a common citizen. And I think that as long as this constitution is in place in Pakistan, there is no chance, or there is no authority in Pakistan which can validate the military rule or martial law. Although the irony is that whenever any military dictator has came into force or came into power in Pakistan, the first thing they did, they have to this additional rule called PCO, proclaimed ordinance, and that ordinance says that the military ruler has a power to amend the constitution, and then the Supreme Judiciary always stamp that power and give that power to the chief executive, which happened to be that military ruler at that time, once in 1977 and the next in 1999. Which is very unfortunate, actually. And but as I said earlier, Constitution has no fault, but the people who are actually matter. They every now and then they just come and they just wrap up the Constitution and just run the government by their own style.
Dr. Kahut, I want to take the question one step further. Again, when we talk about Pakistan, previously, you and I, we had numerous conversations regarding the word democracy. Again, recently I finished reading a book. Ironically speaking, it's actually, the book was entitled The Problem of Democracy. Of course, that the author within the book and did not just talk about the nation of the United States and mainly pinpointed countries such as Turkey, such as North Korea, such as Syria. Again, some of the countries are facing major democratic challenges at this moment. Now, again, Dr. Kahut, from your perspective, by celebrating the Constitution as the 50th anniversary, how should we understand the word democracy today, which related to the Constitution? Because we know for many countries, in reality, not every single country actually includes the freedom or even the concept of freedom within their constitution. So what is the significance of constitution the significance of freedom within the constitution for Pakistan?
Yeah, Pakistan, since it came into being 2 years before China in 1947, Pakistan, from the very first day, the founder of Pakistan, Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, whom we attribute as Qaid-e-Azam in the local language. So Qaid-e-Azam means the greatest leader, So the greatest leader of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he said at multiple times that the system of governance in Pakistan will be the democracy. So from the very first day, the founders of Pakistan, they were very clear that if Pakistan has to be run through any system, it will be the democracy. And of course, under the democracy, then we have the presidential system, and we have the parliamentary democracy system, where the prime minister has a chief executive power. But unfortunately, we have seen that system has not delivered much in Pakistan to this date. That's a reality, because today, as we speak, more than 25 million children are out of school. So it means that the state has failed to provide free education to all of its citizens. So again, the constitution promises that every citizen of Pakistan will have the right to education, right to compulsory education, from the state. The second thing is the health. Today in Pakistan, the health facilities, if you are more rich, you can access to the best health facilities in the world, which are, of course, present in Pakistan. But health and the good health facilities in Pakistan, they're again the luxury goods. They're not the normal goods. But the Constitution has no fault. Constitution promises the right of a good health facilities or the public health care. But unfortunately, the system of democracy has failed, or the system of governance in Pakistan has failed to provide those healthcare facility. And the third thing is the security. The Constitution of Pakistan, it promises the security to every single of its citizen. But as we now speak, the security situation in Pakistan, one of its greatest province by land, Balochistan, the security situation is very fragile. Just yesterday there were some terrorist attacks, and our law enforcement agencies are fighting with the terrorists every now and then. So and then the problem is of inequality. The Constitution of Pakistan, it promises the equality among its citizens, but the inequality is something which is also the global trend. But Pakistan is no exception. Pakistan is also suffering with higher volume of inequality. So yeah, these are the issues, and they are the structural issues in the economy of Pakistan, or in the political economy of Pakistan, which unfortunately our rulers have not been able to solve yet. But let's hope as the time passes, because we are just now 75 years old democracy, and most of the people and most of the authors, when they compare the democracy, they compare, in my point of view, they compare apple with orange, because you can't compare the democratic system in the US or UK with Pakistan or the global South countries, because we are just a new country of like 75 years old, but those democracies are very older one, 250 years old, 300 years old. Yeah. So I think the countries like us, they need some time for their democracies to be mature more and more, because there are multiple stakeholders. Just like in Pakistan, I mentioned earlier, we have different type of ethnicities. We have Sindhis, their language is altogether, their culture is altogether different than the other ethnic entity, which are Punjabis. Then again, Punjabis and Sindhis are altogether different than the Pashtuns or the Pathans, and all of them are totally different than the Balochs, the Balochistan people. The only one thing which is keeping them united is that book of like 200 odd pages called the Constitution of Pakistan. And to get their voices heard at the center, the system prescribed by that constitution is the parliamentary democracy. So the system is in place, the book is in place, which is constitution. But the only thing which is not happening actually is the will of the rulers, will of the people who matters actually, to take some steps so that the country goes forward in the positive direction.
Well, Dr. Kahut, I agree with you 100%. Two things. Number one, it's not fair for anyone to compare Pakistan with any other countries when we talk about democracy. And number two, I remember, again, Dr. Kahut, you know this well, to quote by the former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln said, the government shall be by the people, for the people, and of the people. Now, speaking of the people, I want to get to our next conversation regarding the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, which is Imran Khan. Now, lately, again, Imran Khan faces multiple corruption charges and also was arrested by the paramilitary focuses on Tuesday, and the court ordered a 2-week reprieve from arrest, allowing the former leader to return home and to, again, adjust his lifestyle and also try to come up with better solutions. Now, Dr. Kahut, again, as we mentioned before, this is not the first time we talk about Imran Khan. Khan currently was held in a safe house under the court protection. People spoke up regarding Khan's arrest, and people held protests and rallies on the street as soon as Khan was arrested. What is the deal with Imran Khan today? Now, again, jovially speaking, by keep on hitting the spotlight, does that mean Imran Khan is gearing up for this political career or for this returning of the political ambition? How should we understand that? And also the second, what do you understand regarding this recent arrest and also charged with the corruption? Help us.
First of all, your audience should, just for their reminder, every single prime minister of Pakistan, when they came out of power, they were being arrested on the charges of corruption. So Imran Khan is not the first time. And every single time they were arrested on the charges of corruption, they were arrested really or allegedly behind the scene from the military. So this balance of power between military and people's forces, I mean, it's totally in the favor of military because they have the power ultimately. So very recently, Imran Khan, he is facing different, sort of charges, including the corruption charges, and but so his popularity in Pakistan right now is out of proportions. 65% of the population of Pakistan is below 30 years of age, and Imran Khan is the most popular leader in that segment of society or the population. But the way he was picked up, rather, because he was not formally arrested, he was picked up, or let me use that term, abducted or so, by the paramilitary forces. And so that so-called, what his supporters say, the humiliation was something which actually triggered the countrywide protest, or even the international protest, wherever the Pakistanis were living. They beat US or the Canada or the UK or the Europe or the Middle East, wherever the Pakistanis were, they registered their protest. And inside Pakistan, it was a total chaos, and public buildings were burned. The statues of the national heroes, the martyrs, that statues were, they were just bulldozed by the people, and it was an utter chaos, and around 50 people were dead during the time of like 36 to 48 hours, because that protest was so strict. And the reasons, we can talk about the reason, as I mentioned earlier, that Imran Khan is the most popular leader. Second, the way he was abducted or arrested by the paramilitary forces. And the third thing is that the demand of Imran Khan is the elections. He wants elections. 2023 is the year of election in Pakistan. Last elections were held in 2018. So every term in Pakistan is of 5 years. So by that scenario, 2023 is the year of election. So Imran Khan's primarily demand is to hold the elections. So unfortunately, the situation is that the ruling party is adamant to hold the elections later this year. But Imran Khan has went to the Supreme Judiciary and got the verdict in his favor to get the election started on 14th May, I mean today's date. But unfortunately, it has not happened. The military had excused or recused itself. It said that it can't provide security for the elections. And the finance ministry has recused itself, saying that it doesn't have the resources. So all of this has contributed to the frustration level of Imran Khan to the highest level, and also his supporters. And to adding fuel to the fire was Imran Khan's arrest from the premises of court by not the police, but by the paramilitary forces. So all of these factors, they have contributed. And due to that, you have witnessed the countrywide protest. And, it was an utter chaos. And I hope that as we speak, the things are now under control, because Imran Khan has sent on the bail, and the court has restricted the security forces not to arrest him until at least 17th of May. So, these are the scenarios. Again, this is the uncertain situation. The Pakistan rupee has become more weakened against dollar. The stock market of Pakistan has crashed. The situation on ground is not very favorable. And there were reportedly some attacks on the law enforcement agencies' people. And but now, as we speak, the things are now under control, and hopefully, as we speak more, that things will be better.
Dr. Kahut, I want to wrap up our conversation by asking you regarding Khan's future and also his political path in this country. Now, again, 3 topics we need to discuss. Even though you mentioned or repeated them many times. Number 1 is the military cohesion. Number 2 is the level of violence. Number 3 is the current economic crisis. Now, again, briefly help us with better understanding some belief that Khan's future prospects and the government and the military's ability to counter it also depend in a greater measure on the military establishment cohesion. So the question is very simple. In order for Khan continue to build or strengthen his career path, what are the strategies, or how do you think he's going to manage the relationship between his party and the military power? That's number one. Number two, we know that the violence will never be the solution to any problems. How do you think that he's going to manage the level of violence today in order to not to use any words or not to use any again rhetorics to incite much greater chaos for the country, and instead we need to bring peace, bring restoration and the order to the society? So again, Dr. Kahut, those two things from your perspective, how do you think Khan should handle those matters?
First of all, he has repeatedly said that he's not against the army as the institution. So he says that all this chaos which has happened recently, so he has blamed only the army chief, the top guy in the military. So he has blamed him that he is behind all this chaos and all his public humiliation, as he says, or his arrest from the court premises. So, the only way for him and for his party to be in the good terms with the military, because unfortunately, as I told you earlier, military is more powerful institution in Pakistan there, and they have always played a decisive role in deciding that who is coming as the chief executive, which is the prime minister or even the president in Pakistan. So number one thing, he should have a good and cordial relationship, or the working relationship at least, with the military. And the second thing, sorry, I forgot which was the second part.
The second part is, how do you think he's going to manage this level of violence within the society today? Because we know that he does have a lot of followers, but meanwhile, if the followers or if the voters continue to use violence or protests and riots to send a message to the society, and again, Dr. Kahut, you can agree with me that this does not reflect the positive side of Imran Khan. So how do you think he's going to manage, or at least to calm down the voters in order to restore the peace and also the order to the society?
Yeah. Just one way, because Khan can, or rather, he should make sure that violence doesn't erupt again, and the only way he can do it, by making sure, by appealing to his voters, by keeping them in a proper order, and that's only possible because just like now we have seen that it was the loss of more than 25 billion Pakistan rupee to the national exchequer just when the Khan was arrested. Public properties were burnt down, people were dead. It was an utterly chaos-like situation. So only thing which Khan can do is to make sure next time that his followers doesn't do that stuff. Look, the political leaders in my part of the world, be it Pakistan or India or even the Sri Lanka or the South Asian countries, the arrest of public leaders, it's a common thing. It's not a new phenomenon. It was only first time in the Khan, or just as I mentioned earlier, the way he was arrested or abducted. It actually sparked anger among the youth and among the urban voters of the Khan. So, but I hope that if in the future these events doesn't happen, and if Khan keep on appealing to his voters, I hope this sad incidents won't be happening in the future.
Well, Dr. Kahut, again, as we mentioned before, it's a good thing that, again, this country celebrate the Constitution. Again, it's one of the important founding documents which continues serves as the light to the darkness and as the solution to the chaos. But meanwhile, we hope that the voters and the followers of Imran Khan and continue to follow the order of the country and also continue to honor this constitutional system in order to see the better future, or even the brighter future for the country. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we know, again, Pakistan is one of the important countries, not just to China, but also to the world.